New tonight, going inside the science of psychedelic mushrooms. Athletes, first responders, and veterans, they've all reported using them to help treat a variety of mental health disorders. In this session, the Arizona state budget put a sliver of money toward more research.
ABC 15's Jordan Bonke goes inside a Valley lab studying whether these mushrooms are safe for broader treatments.
For the first time in the state's history, psychedelic mushrooms were approved for research. The key demographic, veterans and first responders.
And we pretty much have a couple different mushroom species in
You guys are tripping, man. Welcome to the live, everybody. Welcome to the live. This is Oscar with the Ancient Watchman, aka the Water Wizard. Welcome to this live. Welcome to this live. It's gonna be an exciting podcast. Hopefully, I don't go too long as I usually do. You guys know me. I tend to talk a lot. Even though sometimes I'm like very quiet, like when I talk. But anyways, so tonight we're I'd like to share a beautiful story, beautiful mushroom experience, ceremony that I began to do, and I'm gonna go a little bit in depth of when I began my entheogenesis. Let me drink some water. Hold on. Yeah, I was saying that I would like to share with you guys part of my experience because I strongly believe, and maybe I should put it as a question because YouTube could be a little sensitive when it comes to subjects of such magnitude or any other subjects that is related to healing and anything that has to do with like the FDA, the federal, the people that control the medications of today, modern day medication, right? So I don't want to say certain words that might trigger the algorithm, and then my YouTube, the podcast is deleted. But anyways, I'm gonna be sharing a little bit of the science, the science behind what mushrooms do to the body, to the mind, what kind of aspects of the body can help to recover, to heal, to quote unquote cure certain diseases and whatnot. So we're gonna go into all of that, and at the end of the after I explain and I bring out the history, the science, you guys can understand the mechanics of what happens when people ingest or eat or drink mushrooms, magic mushrooms, psilocybin, and the like. Now, disclaimer for everybody. I want to do a disclaimer. I do not support anybody taking any illegal drugs out there, right? Especially if you don't know what you're doing, especially if you don't know what you're getting yourself into, especially if you don't know what you're not supposed to do when you take certain psychedelics, certain plant medicines, let's just call them like that. Plant medicines involves many various types of psychedelics and entheogenous plants, roots, leaves, grains, and the like. So I do not support nobody doing anything illegal. Now, having said that, as a disclaimer, once again, just for the terms and conditions of YouTube guidelines and stuff, I want to respect that because I just want to inform people. I want to share this information with you guys because I've had many experiences with like these psychedelics, these teonacat, Angels Food, Corn of Heaven, Magic Mushrooms, Nino Santos. They go by various names. But we're gonna dive deep into the history, the science, a little bit of the mysteries, perhaps the Bible, because I want to break these. What would you call it? There's a stigma behind mushrooms. There's a negative stigma about these plant medicines, peyote, ayahuasca, magic mushrooms, DMT, 5-MeO DMT, and the like. Right? There's a big, huge stigma behind it because a lot of people come from a place of ignorance. A lot of people come from a side of indoctrination that began at a young age where they told you in your house, well, if you see someone taking mushrooms, then stay away from them because they must be a little crazy, a little off, or whatever the like. So there is this negative stigma that was propagated way back during the Ronald Reagan years. You guys remember that, when there was this propaganda against the hippie movement, right? Because the hippie movement, if you guys like study the history behind the root behind the hippie movement, it began with like Maria Sabina. Maria Sabina was a Mexican shaman from Mexico, obviously, duh. And she there was a there was a chemist, a white American chemist that traveled down to to Mexico because they heard, there was a rumor of this woman, lady healer, shaman, Maria Sabina, that was healing people. Literally, she was like healing people, like Jesus was doing it, even greater than Jesus too, because you guys remember when Jesus said, like, listen, when I ascend to the Father, I will send you. He was saying that you will be able to do greater things than I did. But Maria Sabina was doing surgeries. She was doing brain surgeries. She was, according to the I would say the information when you guys research, they witness how like actual livers appear in their hands. Now, this is the information that I'm sharing. Whether or not it's true, that's up to you guys to believe. I'm just sharing the information. Now, do I believe in magic? Do I believe in miracles? Of course I do. Just the fact that you are breathing right now, that's a miracle in itself, right? Just the fact that you are able to talk, that you're able to walk, that you're able to hold things with your hands, that's a miracle in itself. So there's various types of miracles. There's various levels of miracles, magic, supernatural activity, however you guys want to call it. Well, Maria Sabina, she was working with the mushrooms, and this is exactly what was going on during her ceremonies and things like that. So that's just one minor fraction story of the whole aspect of what's really going on all over the world. It's not just in South America. It's not just in the Caribbean islands. It's not in North America by the Siberians, or whether it be the Native Americans, or whether it be, I don't know, the Europeans and their shamans, or Siberians and whatnot, or Hindu and their monks. This information dates back to thousands of years. So, anyways, but welcome to the live, everybody. Welcome to the live. Let me check out the comments. Elizabeth Weaver, what's going on? Welcome to the live, sis. Yeah, I think this is the second time you were here, but welcome to the live. Yeah. Job Siukoat. Yeah, you're gonna have to explain the Siukoat. I know that koat means probably serpent, maybe. The word koat means serpent, I think. But anyways, you're saying that you're studying mushrooms is the best. Like, what are you trying? Drop your comment on the chat. Snoopy Eats 408. I'm back, brother. Yeah, it's been a while. I've been through a journey. I've been explaining that in my past videos, in my other lives. I've been sharing like fractions of the spiritual work that I've been doing, and the things that I've been getting into, and the many things that I don't preach anymore, the things that I do not teach anymore. because of the paradigm shift or the change of mind or the spiritual, emotional, what would you call it, spiritual and mental evolution. That's basically the primarily the calling of the human, of each human, of all of us, is to for us to evolve and like break the shell, because right now, like, the world is inside the egg, and the egg is about to crack. Is about to crack. Welcome to the live, everybody. Welcome to the live. Yeah, so yeah, I appreciate the support, brother. Yeah. I don't know if you're on Facebook or wherever you are at. Share my videos if anything resonates with you, and anybody that's watching. Welcome to live once again. If you guys like my content and the things that I'm bringing out, don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Drop a comment on our YouTube channels. If you guys have any questions, drop your questions on the chat, so I can address them later as at the end of the video, or if anybody wants to come on and chat or whatever, you guys are more than welcome. But yeah, welcome to live. We're gonna get into it in a minute. So once again, what I'm gonna do is we're gonna go into the science. We're gonna go into the mechanics. There's gonna be some doctors that I'm gonna be bringing on, just videos that just like short videos that I would like you guys to see, coming from actual doctors, people that went to universities and they got their degrees in their respective fields, since a lot of the times a lot of people do not want to believe a random stranger talking about mushrooms, and mushrooms are the medicine and all this other stuff. And well, we're gonna hear it from scientists. We're gonna go into science itself. Uh, uh, there's gonna be a neuroscientist explaining what happens when people eat or drink these mushrooms for medicinal purposes and the like. So, and after that, I'm gonna bring us back into the history of the mushrooms, and how it began and how it evolved all the way to the age that we're living in now, especially like back in the day during the Ronald Reagan administration, when again he was used as a puppet to shut down the movement of the psychedelic era, the psychedelic movement that was taking place during the hippie era, because that's when the world began to awaken like that. This is why, like, there was a lot of protest against the war of Vietnam. If you guys study your history, it shows you that a lot of the people, a lot of the Americans over here, the youth, especially the youth, they were protesting in Washington about the war. That why are we sending our children to go to war and die for the agendas of the powers that be, and this and that and third. And it was like it was beautiful because it was a very powerful time, and so the people that control these systems, right, the government systems all over the world, monetary financial systems and the like, and beyond all that, right, media, Hollywood, you guys know what's going on, especially with this Sounds of Freedom movie. I don't know if you guys are catching up on the hype, but uh, I'm one of those guys, one of those men that I do not like to follow the hypes or the current. If you guys notice, I always go against the current. I always go against the grain. I always question the stuff, the things, the beliefs, the like, and governments and authorities and the like. And I've always been like that. Yeah, I've shared that a little bit, in my videos throughout this journey that I've been on with you guys, especially the people that know me for a while. You guys know me for 8 years or 10 years, probably 12, 14 years and stuff. And you guys have seen where I was, what I used to believe, and things like that. And now I'm on this new path, this new frequency and vibration. And so that's the vibration that a lot of the people back in the 60s, I guess up to the 70s, they were on the same vibration. And so they shut that down, and they demonize the idea of these mushrooms, these plants that Mother Earth created. Like, think about it. just think about it for a minute. Come outside your bubble. Think outside the box. Put yourself outside yourself. You have to, like, that's part of the introspection that has to take place within us to understand our own selves, our own bullshit, our own darkness, the darkness of the world, the darkness that surrounds us in every day of the things that is going on in the world. Like I was saying, the Sounds of Freedom is just like the hype. This stuff came out like fucking 30 years ago, right? People are just saying like, oh, child traffic, this and that and third, and people are like posting about it, and they think they're doing. Bro, we've been posting this information for years. Alex Jones have been doing it. As a matter of fact, you guys know Alex Jones he was banned from YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and I don't know if he's back on Twitter because of Elon Musk, but the point is that it's pretty wild, that people follow just to follow. So that's the challenge. That was the challenge of the hippie era. They began to challenge the status quo, and this is when the Ronald Reagan administration decided that they would schedule or brand the mushrooms as Schedule Drug 1, Type 1 or whatever. And so it was demonized, and now a lot of people are afraid of it, right? But the beauty of it all is that this information has been around for thousands of years. Our indigenous ancestors, our shamans, our healers, whatever names you guys want to use for these people, priests, they were always around the tribes to help the people heal, to lead the people, to reveal certain information to the people and help people heal, right? That was the whole idea. And so when let me not get ahead of myself, but welcome to live, everybody, once again. And so at the end of this information that I'm gonna bring out, I'm gonna share with you guys my 4th mushroom experience, right? And when I do, I'm gonna give you guys the context and the background of it all, so you guys can get a feel of why I was able to meet with the engineers, right? And I want to explain. I'm gonna explain later on what these engineers are, right? But I think I kind of posted on the thumbnail of this podcast these beings, and I'm gonna explain. I'm gonna give you guys all the details of what I've seen, and the reason why I'm sharing that is because, well, just wait until like when we get there, so you guys can hear the story. But we're gonna get started, and let me see. Welcome to the live, everybody. Welcome to the live. Blessing and light to the chat. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, blessings, peace, and abundance to everybody that's watching. I know that maybe some of my co-workers, friends at work, or might be watching. Shout out to you guys, Teresa or Kayla or anybody else that might be watching. Welcome to life.
New tonight, going inside the science of psychedelic mushrooms. Athletes, first responders, and veterans, they've all reported using them to help treat a variety of mental health disorders. In this session, the Arizona state budget put a sliver of money toward more research.
ABC 15's Jordan Bonke goes inside a Valley lab studying whether these mushrooms are safe for broader treatments.
For the first time in the state's history, psychedelic mushrooms were approved for research. The key demographic, veterans and first responders.
And we pretty much have a couple different mushroom species in here.
There's only one place in Arizona where the DEA has allowed psilocybin mushrooms to be grown, and it's here, inside Scottsdale Research Institute.
What we are aiming for is a consistently potent mushroom.
Russell Turley is a volunteer. He helps the federally regulated lab conduct FDA clinical trials on the potential medical benefits of different plant drugs. He also credits these mushrooms, in part, for helping him beat his addiction to one of the most harmful drugs in our society.
With the help of psilocybin, I've been clean off heroin for 5.5 years.
Stories like these were heard by Arizona lawmakers this session. The state then approved $5 million in the budget to research how psychedelic mushrooms can help with things like PTSD and addiction. Veterans like Lieutenant General Martin Steele, who served in the Obama administration, hopes more states follow suit.
Over 1,000 men and women that have had to go outside the country, Jordan, to get these life-saving medicinal treatments, that we can do this legally inside the United States.
Real natural psilocybin mushrooms have never been evaluated in a controlled trial. Can you believe that?
Dr. Sue Sicily heads the Scottsdale Research Institute. She hopes to use the allocated state money to start human trials with psilocybin mushrooms. Once ingested through a capsule or tea, the trip could be 5 to 7 hours, she says.
It works its way into that part of the brain and activates some of the neural circuits that may have never been enlivened in a while. And it starts to enable the brain to be kind of recalibrated.
Now, these mushrooms do have their critics, and Dr. Sicily acknowledges companies don't have all the solutions and plant medicine needs more research. But she does hope to start trials within the year.
We intend to publish all of the data, the good and the bad of psilocybin mushrooms will all be made available in medical journals later so that people can scrutinize it and form their own opinions.
Jordan Bonnke, ABC 15, Arizona.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen, coming out from the horse's mouth, as they say, you know. There's a new movement. The new movement is coming back to the planet Earth because these plant medicines have a message to the entire planet. And I know what I'm talking about is like, this dude lost it. This dude is smoking too much weed. You know, I can almost hear some of you guys out there, especially the ones that do not understand the subject matter. The people that have not actually sit down with like these beautiful plants that are able to teach humanity a lot of stuff, and not just teachings or wisdom or what would I say, mystical experiences, but mushrooms have many medicinal properties and uses of various like shoemaking, textiles, medicine for the body, the mind. I mean, we can name like as you guys are gonna listen later. I think I forgot to upload another videos, but the research is that you guys can deepen yourselves into the subject matter. And tonight I wanted to bring this information out because there's a lot of people asking me personally about psychedelics, entheogenous magic mushrooms, DMT, the spirit molecule, and the like. And so I want to be able to share this information with you guys so that when you guys decide that you guys want to sit down with these beautiful plants, you guys have had the information at hand so you guys can process and somewhat expect what would happen if you ate these plants, these teonacat, these flesh of the gods, magic mushrooms, corn of heaven, and theogenous, whatever names you guys want to use. So the information is out there. This movement is coming back to the planet because once again, the mushrooms, as you guys are going to begin to see, that the mushrooms are not just for you to get high and have these visions and whatnot. And, it's not just that. It rewires the brain. It creates neurogenesis. Now, the word neurogenesis, as the name implies, it just means the rebirth or the birth of new neurological pathways within your brain that are able to interconnect with one another so that you guys can connect with the divine, right? That's the whole idea. And so we, scientists and, the modern day medicine are just picking up. They're just starting to pick up on this information that's been around for thousands of years, right? So
in the world, there are around 4 billion species of fungi, or fungi, as the British say, including yeasts and molds. We quite literally owe our lives to one of them. In 1928, microbiologist Alexander Fleming was running experiments with various bacterial cultures. The scientist noticed that mold contaminated one of the petri dishes in his lab and killed all the microorganisms around itself. Fleming decided to put the mold colony into reservoirs with Streptococcus, Staphylococcus, and the bacteria that cause diphtheria and anthrax. The mold successfully destroyed all of those organisms. Later on, other experts continued the research and discovered that a genus of fungi named Penicillium secretes a special substance able to kill pathogens of dangerous diseases. As a result, in 1943, penicillin, the first antibiotic in history, appeared in drugstores. Starting from that day, the death rate from bacterial infections and festering wounds began rapidly falling. But that wasn't the first case when fungi saved people from death. Our ancestors used them as medicines thousands of years ago. In 450 BC, Greek physician Hippocrates classified Fomes fomentarius, commonly known as the tinder fungus, as a potent anti-inflammatory and hemostatic agent. The indigenous people of North America have used puffballs to heal wounds for hundreds of years. In the 5th century, Tao Hongjing, a Chinese alchemist, described Ganoderma lucidum as an effective remedy for all diseases. Of course, this mushroom won't make you live forever, but it seems that some of its relatives can do even that. Modern-day medicine considers fungi as a treatment for the most dangerous illnesses. For example, a study conducted in 2007 showed that Grifola frondosa can reduce insulin resistance and thus significantly ease the lives of patients with diabetes. The research was performed on mice, and it's too early to tell if the fungus is effective for people, but the results are very promising. Another experiment on mice revealed that Cordyceps militaris can inhibit the invasion of melanoma, the deadliest and most aggressive type of skin cancer. Meanwhile, several Japanese studies on humans show that taking shiitake mushroom food supplements extends the life of gastric cancer patients and greatly improves the effectiveness of treatment. It looks like scientists are close to creating a fungi-derived remedy for cancer, diabetes, and even depression. In November of 2022, readers of the New England Journal of Medicine learned the results of the largest ever clinical trial dedicated to psilocybin therapy in treatment-resistant depression. Psilocybin, as you may know, is the main active ingredient in hallucinogenic mushrooms. Once it gets into the human body, it turns into psilocin, crosses the blood-brain barrier, and binds with neurotransmitter receptors. In simple words, under the influence of psilocybin, hundreds of thousands of neurons located in different parts of the brain start transferring information between each other. If we take an MRI to get a detailed picture, we'll see uncontrolled chaos. But actually, similar processes occur in the brain when we sleep. Therefore, psilocybin spurs persistent growth of new neural connections, which makes a person with severe depression more responsive to therapy. The trials show that after taking the drug in high doses, 29% of patients were in remission in just 3 weeks. All these studies give hope that scientists will pretty soon discover some fungus that'll cure all human afflictions and grant people eternal life. But if conventional healthcare is frankly skeptical,
Oh, there it is. Shout out to the mice that probably might have died, or hopefully, these are the real heroes. They're little animals, little organisms that have a soul, as obviously the Torah states that animals also have a soul, right? This is why you guys see animals, having emotional states, emotional frequencies with their people, with their family, and sometimes they cry and whatnot. But anyway, shout out to the mice that die for these trials, and all these little animals that are in labs in today modern day society. The same thing that happened with humanity way back in the day when humans were in a lab called the Garden of Eden, which was basically like a whole complex where geneticists were working on genetic manipulation to create the human race. And this is basically how the human race was about and came about. But that's another subject for itself. But anyway, so that's it right there. penicillin comes from a mushroom called penicillium. And so, that's just one of the uses that humanity, that's one of the medicines humanity enjoys because of the mushrooms, because of the plant medicine of the mushrooms. So, what happens when you eat mushrooms? That's the question. A lot of people ask me, like, what happens when you eat mushrooms? And I can give you guys the mystical and the spiritual explanation behind all of that, but you wouldn't be able to understand it unless you go through it, unless you experience that with these plant medicines. So what happens when you eat mushrooms? So what happens is that the body strips off a phosphate molecule from the psilocybin, right? Because you guys have to understand there's 200 species that produce psilocybin. So there is the regular psilocybin mushrooms, which have psilocin. So when you eat these entheogenous plants, we're gonna call it like that, which have psilocin, the body strips off a phosphate molecule from the psilocybin to form a different molecule called psilocin, right? This molecule binds to one of the same receptors, which is serotonin. Now, I did a little graph so you guys can kind of see like what I'm talking about. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. So this is the molecule psilocin, right? Now, if you guys notice, that's the molecule, and if you guys notice down here, that's serotonin. Now, if you guys compare both of them are basically the same thing. You guys see that? They're like the same thing. Molecular, structurally, they're the same molecules. So what happens is that when you guys see these plant medicines called mushrooms, the psilocin is basically attaches itself to the brain receptors right there, just like serotonin does. Now, serotonin is one of the molecules that helps us to sleep and regulate the sleep patterns and whatnot, right? It also regulates blood pressure, mood regulation, and depression, right? That's basically the job of serotonin. Now, when psilocin, right? We already saw the molecular structure. It's basically the same structure as serotonin. So when psilocin attaches itself to one of the receptors, which is the receptor 5-HT2A, right? Anybody that's into medicine, any doctors that are out there that might listen, or nurses, you guys know what I'm talking about. The receptor, which is 5-HT2A, that's where serotonin attaches itself, just like psilocin. And so what happens is that psilocybin increases the strength of the connections responsible for how you sense the world, while also decreasing the connections responsible for how we understand signals from our environment, right? In other words, you're able to connect with the worlds that are beyond this three-dimensional world. This is where we begin to dive deep into the mysterious, or like the mystical experiences that many people talk about when they see, elves, or they see the gods, or they see the Elohim, or they see Mother Wisdom, or they see, duendes and the like, beings of light, angels, just beautiful, powerful beings out there in different realms that are teachers, that are angels, however you guys want to call them. Many ancient civilizations call them by different names: angels, gods, elves, demons, and whatnot. When we understand in the Greek, the word daimon or daimon or something like that, it refers to like beings of intelligence, beings of supreme intelligence beyond the human capacity. So that's what happens. That's basically what it's saying when it says psilocybin increases the strength of the connections responsible for how you sense the world. And as you guys saw earlier, that one of the in one of the videos where they were talking about how when you eat psilocybin, you eat these plant mushroom medicines, there begins to be neurological connections, and what they call it, I mean, neurogenesis. My bad. Yeah, neurogenesis, which is basically the beginning of the birth of new neuron pathways within your brain, which are connected for the first time. And so this is basically what takes people into, like, the other realms, and you begin, your consciousness basically is able to connect with the all, with the all, basically with, like, the source, God, or I don't know how you guys want to call it, and this is basically like how many people talk about, many writers, many poets talk about how most of the religions out there are basically a misunderstanding. I think there was a show on Joe Rogan, I think, where there was this, I forgot the name, but let me not talk about that because I don't know so much of the information. But the story is that the stories of the Bible are basically like mystical experiences that people like you and me had back in the day, and they were able to write them down as a memoir for the future generations and stuff. Supposedly, that's the idea. But my thing is that this is my personal opinion, that most of the mystical experiences you guys read in the Bible are personal experiences that certain people had, very personal ones that they were able to share it with all the tribes, people, kings, queens, and whatnot. And so today is no different. Today, like, people like myself and other people, they've had these powerful, um, these powerful experiences that have transformed their lives, especially the people that are going through struggles, people that are going through depression, people that are going through PTSD because they went to war and they got scared, traumatized, they witnessed death to their left and to their right. And so they come back home supposedly because they fought for freedom. But, you guys know that I'm against war, and I'm against, the war machine complex, and what have they done, how they changed the world, and I mean, I've shared this information before. It's pretty wild, and so the world is suffering right now. Everybody, like, there's traumas in people's, you can see how they act, how they talk, how they behave, and things like that. I can see that, and I understand that because I come, from an environment like that. And so you come to a certain point where you guys have to understand, okay, this information has been out there. Many people, doctors, mystics, have been saying this to the entire world about the mystical, the spiritual aspects of the being, of your existence, of who you are. You're not just your body. When you guys look in the mirror, right? You guys look in the mirror and you guys think you're pretty, you're beautiful, you're handsome, and you begin to, like, think very highly of yourself, but that's just the physical. There's other aspects beyond the physical, which is the spiritual and the mental and the emotional, and the soul matters, right? The soul matters, of course it does, but matters of the soul, that's what I meant to say. You guys are tripping. Hopefully you guys are smoking weed. Because sometimes my podcasts are like for people that are smoking weed, so you guys can, like, sit down and just, like, vibe, and we can learn together. So where were we? Yeah, so what happens when you eat mushrooms, right? That's what we were talking about earlier. Because like I said, I sometimes I can go off and branch out into certain things, but I think the things that I'm bringing out is important because, again, there's a broken world. There's people with traumas. People have lost their loved ones, their fathers, their mothers, and you guys know, I went to bury my uncle, and it was just very powerful to, like, experience like death, like death, that someone that you've seen alive and now they're not alive, and it's like it's shocking, it's like, wow, life is so short, life is way too short for anger and resentments and bullshit and traumas and all of that, right, that I just mentioned is what affects the psychic, is what affects the genome, the genetics, the DNA. It affects the mental states of the human person, the physical self. It affects the emotional states, and it just it's kind of like a chain reaction, because now you're going to have children, and your children are going to carry with the same information that you just pass down at a genetic level, at an emotional level, at a spiritual and energetic level. Why? Because we are energetic beings. Like I was saying earlier, we're not uh what I was saying, we're not just the physical self. Like, again, you could be amazing, gorgeous, beautiful, handsome, strong, muscly, fucking six abs and the like, and it's great. I'm working out myself. I'm trying to get a little thicker so I can grow more muscle and stuff, but it's important. The physical aspects is important, but there's the spiritual aspects and emotional aspects, that this is where this medicine comes in, and this is what these doctors, these persons, people, they're talking about what I'm saying. So what happens when you eat mushrooms? Well, you guys heard it. Psilocybin increases the strength of the connections responsible for how you sense the world, while also decreasing the connections responsible for how we understand signals from our environment. And so this is why, there's these visions, and uh, people are able to witness or traverse the veil of this reality. And you leave with your consciousness, you travel to other realms with other beings that are higher than this physical realm. And so this is where people come with their experiences. And yeah, so I was saying earlier that when you guys well, this is the neuro this is part of the neuroscience that I was talking about, that when you guys eat this medicine, there's neurogenesis. And so the brain begins to have, or becoming, or you what you experience is altered stage of consciousness, which is basically neuroplasticity, they call it. Neuroplasticity, once again, is basically like when you learn something, you can never unlearn it. Like, once you learn something, it always stays there. Why? Because there's a neural pathway that created that moment, that idea, that aspect, that activity that you just created. That's what created the new pathway. Now imagine that in millions of reconnections and sequences. And so this is why you have certain individuals, like, I think Steve Jobs, when he came out with the iPhone, or be after it, he did a mushroom ceremony, and he says that this is what he was saying, that the duendes, like he called them, I forgot how he called them, duendes, gnomes, or something, but they taught him knowledge and information about the iPhone technology. Go figure, that's his personal experience. So um, there's neuroplasticity in your brain, and so you begin to expand your consciousness, and you're able to see resolutions to problems in your life, or solutions to traumas that you experienced in your childhood, or you went to a breakup, or your parents die, or your uncle die, or your brother or your sister die, and your baby die, or your husband die. There's this death can create like such an emotional and very powerful emotional traumatic experience for the being that experiences that, or that witnesses that. And so this is why the studies that you heard from these the studies that they're doing is for people that are go through depression and PTSD, right? Because they understand like that this medicine targets the brain, and the brain is basically like the seventh chakra, you know, the holy of holies. That's where the ark of the covenant lies within yourself, inside of your brain, called, you guys call it the pineal gland, you know, this rom rhomboid, what's it, it's like it's a geometrical pattern that looks like a pine cone, and but it's crystalline. There's crystals within your pineal gland, like miniature crystals that oscillate when there's energy, and when the CFS, which is this what they call it, the spinal fluid, the cerebral spinal fluid, plus the energetic, you know, the energy of your seven centers of energy. It's just a process, you know, and this is where people dive into what Kundalini is and all that stuff. But that's a different subject for another day. Um, so that's what happens, you know. There's a rebirth, right? That's basically what happens when you guys eat these plants. There's a rebirth of yourself, of your mind. You begin to like go inwardly of yourself, because, and that's what I was saying earlier, that the information about the mind, the soul, the teachings about the soul, the teachings about the mind, the teachings about the spirit, and the you guys, they don't teach you that in the schools. They don't teach you that in kindergarten. They don't teach you that in the university. They don't teach you that in anywhere, right? No, it's basically like almost nobody's teaching about these matters except the Hindu people, right? The Hindu people and the Buddhists themselves over there in the East. That this is information for them. This information is old, you know. They date back to 25,000 years, 1 million years of this information regarding these experiences, and how these plant medicines have been around for thousands of years. You know, there's an apocryphal book, the Book of Adam, or the Apocalypse of Adam, I think, where I think we brought this out like in one of our podcasts prior to this one. In one of the I think is the Teona Cut podcast, where we talk about mushrooms as well. And I kind of briefly went into the Bible to expose the matter, but you know, I'm waiting for people. You know, there's people out there on Facebook that, you know, they always go against me because they don't understand the information. You know, they come from a perspective of they come from a religious perspective, very religious minded, and we know that the word religion goes back to the, what is it, uh, man, the Latin, the Vulgate, I think, when it's the Vulgate Latin, where refers to the binding of the mind. That's basically what religions are, the binding of the mind. And so when people come and go against these subjects, is because their minds are basically brainwashed to information that is just corroborated in one box, in one cube. You know, that's why there's that saying that says what, think outside the box. And so that's basically what these plant medicines come here to do. They're helping the human race to think outside of like the box, the black box that has been created in people's minds in the form of religions and dogmas, that have no service to the human race. And so, you know, it's pretty wild. All right, so yeah, I'm gonna finish this question, which is what happens when you eat mushrooms. We answer the first part. The second part is that there's an activation in the hippocampus, and the anterior cingulate cortex, which are associated with dreaming. Emotional regions of the brain are also activated chemically, which can lead to a sense of expanded of consciousness, which is what I was saying earlier, that this is what happens when you guys sit down with these plant medicines. Like there's an expanding of consciousness, meaning you're able to see the connections, and understand like certain of the whys, you know. And now I'm not saying that this is going to happen to everybody, because everybody has a different experience, everybody has a different background, everybody is a different vibration and frequency and spirit. Everybody's an individual on this planet, so everybody is going to have their own experiences. But for the majority, this is basically what happens. Once new neuron pathways and connections are created, thinking outside the box comes extremely natural. And this is what I was saying. See, a few more things. Mushrooms are not clinically addictive. So for people out there that are afraid that if you eat mushrooms, all of a sudden you're gonna become a drug addict, that's just way far from the truth. Way far from the truth. Like, doctors are studying, they've been studying this information for the past 50, 60 years, right? So, and obviously we know that, once again, Ronald Reagan is the one that shut down the process of investigation, and the science. The people, a lot of scientists began to study the mushroom and stuff, and the power of the medicine, and the future of what it could help and do to help the society. But obviously the governments that be that, I mean, do you think they want this information? Like, these plant medicines to, like, completely be legal? Imagine what would happen. Imagine, like, this is what I'm saying. Like, these mushrooms, these plant medicines, they have been around before humanity was even in existence. Go figure. Give us a like, share, like, and subscribe. This is again Oscar with the Ancient Watchman, the Water Wizard, and welcome to this live. I'm almost done. So now you guys can kind of see, you guys have an idea of what would happen, what you guys would experience if you guys ate these plant medicines. Randy Torres, what's going on, brother? Welcome to the live. What's happening? All right, so right, so the last thing that I want to share is that what happens when you guys eat these plant medicines? Well, there's this brain network called the default mode network. When you guys see these plant medicines, that default mode network is deactivated. Now, the default mode network sounds like you are an energetic being. Your brain is the greatest computer that has ever been in existence. Like, I mean, quantum computer, like, for example, the new quantum computer is called the Sycamore. The Sycamore quantum computer out there, they can I guess create algorithms at the rate of qubits and stuff. But the brain, even your DNA, it's like it's not binary. It's like it has 4 codes. So it's beyond the binary. Binary means 2. The genome, the DNA has 4. So imagine, like, there's 2 extra bits of information within us. So we are energetic beings. So when you eat these plant medicines, the default mode network, which is the brain network, is deactivated. This was discovered by a researcher in England named Robin Carhart Harris, using an MRI machine to take an fMRI, or a functional magnetic resonance image. So I'm gonna kind of give you this last video, and then we're gonna go into the history, and then right after that, I'm gonna share my 4th mushroom experience, and I'm gonna show you what happened, how I met the engineers, the gods, the Elohim, whoever you guys want to call them, or names you guys want to use. But I call them the engineers because that's what they told me that they are. But anyways, I'm gonna share that in a minute. But before that, let me show you this last video, and then we're gonna move on.
MRI machine to take an fMRI, a functional magnetic resonance image. The expectation, I think, was that people would see an excitation of many, many different networks in the brain. You know, that's what the kind of mental fireworks sort of foretold. But he was very surprised to discover that one particular network was downregulated, and that was this default mode network. So what is that? Well, it's a tightly linked set of structures connecting the prefrontal cortex to the posterior cingulate cortex to deeper, older centers of emotion and memory. It appears to be involved in things like self-reflection, theory of mind, the ability to impute mental states to others, mental time travel, the ability to project forward in time and back, which is central to creating an identity, right? You don't have an identity without a memory. And the so-called autobiographical memory, the function by which we construct the story of who we are by taking the things that happen to us and folding them into that narrative. And that appears to take place in the posterior cingulate cortex.
There it is, right there, folks. That's the last video I wanted to show you guys. Just like a glimpse or introduction of some of the medical feel and what they're saying when it comes to the future, the potential. They call it potential, quote unquote, but we know that this is just some BS. You know, they don't really want to lose their jobs and whatnot, because I mean, psychedelics, once again, there's a stigma behind mushroom psychedelics, and you know, there's a very negative stigma. You know, if you eat mushrooms, your brain is gonna go to, you know, it's gonna turn into jelly. That's the idea. That's basically kind of like the idea that many people have. And if you eat mushrooms, you're gonna go crazy. That's the idea that they have, which is untrue, you know. So I wanted to bring this briefly out so that you guys can have a glimpse and you're able to research more. But once again, those who know me in person here in my city, you guys want to sit down with me and you guys want to dive deep into yourselves, because that's basically what it's all about. The word psychedelics goes back into the word psyche, which is mind in the Greek, and the word delos, psychedelic. So psyche means mind, and delos means to show. So when you guys eat these plants are gonna, you guys are gonna go inwardly in yourselves, depending on who you are, you know. And I'm not trying to say this to scare you guys, you know. This is powerful. Part of the spiritual healing and evolution, healing of your soul and our minds and alignment with the divine is going inwardly, is going inside of yourselves. This is why Jesus said, right, in the Bibles, people read the Bible these days, I guess. He said that the kingdom of God is within you, within me, within us, within everybody. And so that's what I was saying earlier, that this information about the soul, the mind, the spirit, the emotional state, the psyche is not taught by nobody. They don't teach you, again, not in school. They don't teach you this in the church. They don't teach you this in the synagogues. Maybe in the synagogues, because they go deep into the Hebrew and they able to decipher the Hebrew and whatnot. Maybe there, but as far as the churches, you know, they always teach you about scaring you to death, that you're going to hell, and if you don't do these, and God is gonna punish you, and you're gonna die and die in your sins and stuff. And so there's this dogmatic idea created in a state of fear that was induced to the human race to enslave the mind and think inside the box instead outside of the box, right? And so this is part of the plant medicine. You know, the word psychedelics again goes into the psychic, which means mind, and delos, which means to show. And so that's, in brief, what you would experience if you guys sit down with these powerful plants. Tay Eats, welcome to this live. Yeah, we're talking about entheogenous mushrooms, plant medicines, psychedelics, and the like. You know, medicines that have demonized for just now, just in this recent, 500 years, right? Since well, you guys know. I don't have to mention the colonizations and stuff. So, but I'm not talking about that because of hatred. I'm just saying that because that's basically what happened. And which brings me to the historical side of this podcast, and then we're gonna jump into my story when I had my fourth mushroom ceremony and what happened during my mushroom ceremony. I've had 9 mushroom ceremonies up to this point, and every single one of them brought lessons for me to heal, lessons about myself, my mind, my surroundings, the world. And by no means am I claiming to be perfect. By no means am I claiming to be like, like I'm the highest spiritual authority over here. And I'm not saying none of that. I'm just sharing like what I've experienced so that it might help others to be brave and sit down with these beautiful plant teachers that have so much to teach your body, your mind, yourself, your spirit, right? Because once again, they've been around. They have been around for thousands of years, millions of years before the human race was even created, through the mycelium network scattered all through the 4 corners of the earth, right? That's the network. That's the real world wide web, www. Well, this is the organic internet right here. These beautiful plant medicines called mushrooms, teonacat, as the Aztecs and the Mayans called them. These are plant medicines that connects ourselves with the divine, because the human race has disconnected with the divine. Right now, we have technologies and stuff. There's music that is bullshit out there, music that is complete garbage, that have nothing to do with like your body. As a matter of fact, some of this music alters your body, especially all the music that is not tuned to the 432 hertz frequency, right? Which is the frequency of love and abundance, and what would you call it? My bad. The frequency of love and unity, right? That's basically what it is. 432, love and unity. And so what people are listening today is just unbalanced music, unbalanced lyrics, over sexualized environments. We all have to take accountability of that as well. Oh yeah, don't forget to stay until the end. I'm gonna play the flute for you guys. We're gonna have a flute session at the very end of this podcast, so stay tuned. It's gonna be beautiful, especially if at the end of the podcast you guys can smoke with me. We'll be able to have a good time. But other than that, welcome to this live. Those who are gonna tune in later, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sharing our videos, liking and subscribing. Thank you for supporting the ancient watchmen from the old times back in the day. So for those out there that are listening, I know there's people out there that I've challenged on Facebook because once again they misunderstand what I'm saying, and so
in the world there are around 4 billion species of
completely like misunderstand me and judge me in many matters, because they don't want to come and talk with me and have a conversation. But let's move on. Welcome to the live. All right, I'm gonna go briefly into the history, and then right after that, I'm gonna share my story when I had my 4th mushroom ceremony It was very impactful. It impacted my life very profoundly, and I'm gonna share why. You guys are gonna understand why it was very impacting in my life back then. All right, so how long have humanity been using mushrooms? How long this knowledge has been around? That's the question, right? Welcome to the live, everybody. Welcome to the live. Let me burn some sage, and then we're gonna jump into the history. Okay, give me a minute.
These fungi have been giving us humans mind-expanding trips for millennia. They grow all over the planet, but are illegal almost anywhere you go. During the Spanish Inquisition, they were even denounced as a tool of the devil. But today we know there's much more nuance to these magical mushies. This is the psilocybin mushroom.
Yeah, it's Palo Santo right there. Gotta set the mood, you know. What I'm burning, for those who are wondering, it's Palo Santo. That's right there. All right, everybody. Let's go. The earliest evidence of magic mushrooms use is a mural that was found in northern Australia, which depicts mushrooms and psychedelic illustrations. Archaeologists have dated it back to 10,000 BCE rock paintings in Spain. My bad. So archaeologists have dated it back to 10,000 BCE. Rock paintings in Spain suggest magic mushrooms were around prehistoric people in Europe in 4,000 BCE. Some scientists argue that it can be assumed humans have been consuming psilocybin since our brains developed and we became evolutionarily distinct. This is in part because other species like dolphins, reindeer, and jaguars seek out and consume psychedelic substances. Also, psilocybe mushrooms are not only available but common on every continent. There it is, mycelium. And so the idea about reindeers, right? Reindeers, what they eat, some of these reindeers, and once again, I do not support for nobody to consume any illegal substances. This is a disclaimer, just in case YouTube begins to trip out. To trip out, you guys get it? But reindeers eat special type of mushrooms that is red, and so this is why they depict the reindeers with their noses red, because they eat like the muscaria red mushrooms that are found in the forest. And so this is what the idea of like according to the mystical knowledge, is where the idea of like Santa Claus coming down the chimney, which is the colostrum in your brain. And so what they were dropping is, it was these mushrooms, these gifts to now the information that I'm talking about is like the lore or the legend of the ancient druids way back in ancient times. What they were doing is basically go around into the forest, and and they were wearing red robes, right, in honor of the muscaria mushroom, which is red out there. You guys know what I'm talking about? And so they would go and they would give gifts to the people, because once again, these muscaria, these red mushrooms out there that you now, once again, if you guys do not know how to do so, do not mess around, do not touch anything that you do not know, because there's very powerful mushrooms that could kill you. Okay, mushrooms that if you touch them, you could your liver could be shut down. So if you guys do not know what's going on, please do not pick anything that you guys do not recognize, that you're not familiar with. If you guys know of an expert, or if you guys know someone that knows more about the subject matter, inquire to them first before you doing anything. So once again, I am not endorsing nobody to go out there and start like finding these species of plants. Let's just call it that. Okay. So that's another disclaimer. And so the idea is that the druids will go around to every house and drop these medicines to the people, because a lot of people, they understood the magical and the healing properties of these plants, these entheogenous, these psychoactive plants, aka psychedelics, which means what? You guys remember? Psyche, which is mind in the Greek, and the delos, psyche delos, to show the mind, to show the mind. This is why like these doctors were talking about their brain scans, and how like there's like a network, like a brain activity going on connected to other parts of the brain, from the anterior cingulate cortex to the frontal brain cortex and stuff. And so there's these neural pathways being created, and so there's like this magic happening in your brain. And so this is where you understand, and this is what happens with neuroplasticity. Once yeah once you're awake, once you understand, once you see, you cannot unsee anything. It's just there. But a lot of these plants, like according to the science, this is what happens. All right, what else? Yeah, all right, so ethnobotanist and psychonaut Terence McKenna, you guys know who that is, even argue that mushrooms may have expedited human evolution by creating a state of hyperconnectivity between brain networks, doubling the size of human brains, enabling technological innovations, and sparking ideas like religion and language. The ancient civilization, the most famously used psilocybin were in Central America. There's a lot of indigenous artwork in Central America that depicts mushrooms as a means of communicating with the gods. See that? In the Nahuatl language, which was used by Mayan and Aztec people, magic mushrooms were called teonacat, which translates to flesh of the gods. Aztec, Mayan, and Toltec religions myths frequently mention mushrooms, stating that they were given to their ancestors by the serpent god who created all life. Now, you guys know that I study the Nahamadi scrolls, aka the Gnostic Bible. And in the Gnostic Bible, it talks about how Mother Goddess is the one that created the plants and the trees and every plant medicine that's out there. And so what the Aztecs and the Mayan and the Toltecs were talking about may not be far from the truth, that there was these beings called the Nagas, the Hindu people, Buddhists, or the Indian people in India. They know them as the Nagas. The Nagas were basically an ancient race of people, well, race of gods that were in existence like many, many, many thousands of years ago, that imparted knowledge, wisdom, arts, mathematics, science, astronomy to the ancient civilizations of ancient times. And so this is what happened. Like These guys basically scattered themselves around throughout the world and began to impart all this knowledge about medicine, plants, um, mathematics, the mystical knowledge, science, architecture, completely out of this world, right? And so this is where we begin to see these megalithic structures all over the world, scattered abroad, and the knowledge looks like the same. Looks like they share the same knowledge all throughout the world at some point. And so, that was the Nagas. The Nagas are responsible for creating civilizations throughout the world and bringing science to the planet. Uh, so and so this is why, like in the Bible, the serpent is the evil one, right? When in fact, when you guys study the Bible, like the serpent being never killed nobody, right? Right. So that's I mean, when you look at it, like the serpent being never killed nobody, but the God of the Bible is the one that basically killed millions of people through the flood, and later on when he chose a certain group of people to do his bidding, because he cannot take physical form, right? He's a spirit being. These are individuals. These are called archons. These are called authorities that were here on this planet when the planet was created, according to the cosmogony of the creation story of the Gnostics. This is what they talk about. They talk about these beings were in existence prior to this planet was even created. And so when Mother Wisdom, when Mother Goddess, right, when the goddess Sophia began to create this planet, that's when they began to like uh, um, plot and stuff, and they witnessed the birth of the human race and stuff. And later on, that's when they created their own creation, and they called it Adam and stuff. But anyways, I think we went off subject. Right, because of these, psilocybin was used in religious and spiritual ceremonies for divination, healing, anesthetizing, pain, and celebrations. Their use can be traced as far back as 1500 BCE. It wasn't just psilocybin that Central Americans used for their rituals, though. They also used peyote, morning glory seeds, and salvia divinorum for sacred rituals. When the Spanish brutally conquered indigenous American people, they outlawed rituals involving psychedelic materials, labeling them barbaric and against the Catholic Church. Because of this, sacred rituals that involve magic mushrooms had to become an underground practice. Now, let me we're doing the history, right? And then we're almost done with the history so that we can go into my story. But thanks for sticking around, everybody. Thanks for being here. Welcome to this live. You guys know that my lives are basically very long sometimes, so I really applaud you guys. You guys are the real MVP. Those who stick around all the way to the end of my podcast, you guys are the real MVPs. So thank you for sticking around, staying here. Yeah, check us out on our Facebook group called Guardians of Truth. You guys subscribe, join the group, share knowledge, share information. That's basically what the group is about. And obviously, check us out on Instagram. Follow me there. I'm not on Twitter. I got banned on Twitter. I got banned on TikTok. You guys know how it is. Pretty wild. All right, cool. some of the basic assumptions of shamans are not necessarily easy to grasp, and even shamans themselves often don't understand them. The best we can do is enter the world of the shaman with an open mind. Although many modern people are now doing this in order to better understand this fascinating subject, it took centuries of intolerance, observation, investigation, and finally appreciation for the quote unquote white men to get to this point, right? Because they're the ones that basically began to demonize. And I'm about to read this excerpt from this book that I have brought out before. And it says, when Europeans, mainly the French, Spanish, Portuguese, and Italian, began widely exploring the Americas in the 1500s, right? This is like some 70 to 80 years after the colonization of 1492, when Christopher Columbus got lost in the sea. Began widely exploring the Americas in the 1500s, they suddenly encountered a new world of reality and perception. In their travels, they came across certain special people within tribal communities who claim the ability to converse with the spirits. Ooh, what a sin, huh? The ability to converse with the spirits, plants, and animals, and to use these skills to heal or harm, divine the future, control the weather, and predict where animals could be found for hunting, among many other seemingly supernatural powers. That's basically what the Europeans witnessed when they encountered these tribal people, and there was a shaman there, and they were doing like magic, they call it. The overwhelming majority of these European explorers and conquerors were evangelic Christians, and they did not take kindly to these people with quote unquote special talents, end quote. As they also did not take kindly to the quote unquote sorcerers, quote unquote witches that were killed by the tens of thousands in Europe during the same general time period, which is the Inquisition timeline, where they persecuted the Gnostics and all the mystery schools were shut down. A lot of the ancient mages and sages were persecuted and killed off. Some of them went into hiding, and they kept all the records for themselves. This is where we begin to find like the Dead Sea Scrolls and like the Gnostic, the Nag Hammadi, among other writings that some of the sages hid away in caves and whatnot. And because they were persecuting all this knowledge, everything was being burned up. I mean, do you guys think that the when Alexandria in Egypt burned up back in the day, you guys know what I'm talking about? When that library burned, you guys think it was done on purpose? I mean, you guys think it was an accident? It was not an accident. It was deliberately done, because imagine, like, they say that all the information that got burned up in the library of Alexandria in Egypt uh, um, rewind the entire modern day civilization for 1,000 years. So imagine the knowledge that they had of many things. So it was burned up, just like they burned up all the scrolls of the Mayans and the glyphs and the, you know, I mean, we can see this theme happening all across the world during the conquest, beginning of the 1400s, right? So many of the early European explorers likened the spiritual practices of people they found in the Americas to devil worship and evil. So, so as they came upon them, they put to death 10,000 in Central and South America. See that? The intolerance of Christians, Europeans towards the natives they discover, quote unquote, in the Americas continue for many centuries, and prejudices regarding indigenous people can still be felt and seen even today in many countries around the globe. The widespread colonization of Christian Europeans throughout the globe brought about a diverse and, for the most part, derogatory reports of shamans as evil tricksters allied with demons and the devil. See that? So that's what happened. That's the, I guess, a little bit of the. In ancient Greece and magic mushrooms, in ancient Greece, in famous ritual ceremonies that worship the goddess Demeter, called the Eleusinian Mysteries, drank a psychoactive concoction, concon, concoction, concoction, concoction that contained a mix of psychedelic mushrooms. The ceremonies were so secret that if you reveal details gained from them, you could get the death penalty. Famous figures like Plato, Homer, and Aristotle attended these secret meetings from the Eleusinian Mysteries. Ancient Egyptians created numerous pieces of artwork that depict magic mushrooms. They dubbed them the food of the gods and believed that they were placed on the earth by the god Osiris. Because how special they were only consumed for religious reasons by priests and by the upper class. All right. I think, let's see, what else we got? I want to bring, I would like to bring all this out so it's in the record, right? Yeah, I'm gonna bring this out because I want to keep this in the record for just in case, anybody that's interested in researching even farther with this research that has been done about the great benefits of these beautiful plant medicines and theogenous psychedelic theonakat, food of the gods, corn of heaven, magic mushrooms, Niños Santos, various names. In 1799, a British family unknowingly picked and ate numerous magic mushrooms from the banks of the Thames. Because of this, in 1803, magic mushrooms were given the taxonomic classification of Agaricus semilanceatus, which was changed in 1871 to Psilocybe semilanceata. Two ethnobotanists, Schultz and Recco, Schultes and Reko, discovered psilocybin mushrooms were used by local doctors in Mexico and had a depressive effect on the nervous system. They published their findings in their Harvard University Botanical Museum leaflets in 1939. Gordon Wasson and his wife Valeria Wasson, upon hearing about the magic mushrooms, traveled to Central America to learn more about them. Under the guidance of two local shamans, Don Aurelio and Maria Sabina, you see that? They tried psilocybin and were beyond impressed by its profound effects. They published their findings in, quote, Life magazine in 1957, creating the term magic mushrooms. That's basically where it comes from. Albert Hoffman, who synthesized LSD, discovered and isolated the compounds psilocybin and psilocin from the samples Wasson sent him, creating synthetic versions that were sold by Sandoz Pharmaceuticals under the name Indocybin. That was back in the day. Watson's article inspired a Harvard professor named Timothy Leary to learn more about magic mushrooms and found the infamous Harvard psilocybin project with Dr. Richard Alpert. They acquired pharmaceutical-grade psilocybin from Sandoz and used it to conduct experiments with the goal of seeing how psilocybin could solve the emotional issues of humans. See that? Unfortunately, they chose to use students who felt pressure and prisoners who likely had no choice in their experiments after they were put on trial and they caught giving psychedelics to undergraduates, they were dismissed. Basically, they lost their jobs. You see what I'm saying? Like, like, no, I'm not saying like go and do it out there. Like you guys, this is not a recreational plant. You guys do not eat these if you're gonna go party or get drunk, and you take other antidepressants and other medicine approved by the FDA. Do not take these with that. Do not mix these beautiful plants with anything else. And obviously, it should always be done under supervised uh, environment with a person that is experienced in these matters, a shaman or a healer or whatever names you guys want to use. Someone that's been there, someone that's done it, someone that's understand what's going on, someone that has experience in what it takes. And you guys know what I'm talking about. But yeah. Let's see. For 30 years, until the late 1990s, research on psilocybin was put on hold until the University of Zurich started conducting research in 1997. The study, which found the psilocybin increases brain activity, catalyzed research at other institutions. It was found that psilocybin not only increases brain activity, but may also be effective at treating numerous psychological conditions and chronic pain. These promising findings have led to a loosening of the restrictions and the push for decriminalization and legalization across the country. That's it. That's it for the history on that. And I hope you guys got it. I hope you guys were able to get something out of it and learn. You guys have any questions? You guys drop your questions on the chat. Any questions that you might guys have, I'll be able to answer at the end of this podcast. So anybody that's watching, if you guys have any questions for me regarding the subject matter, regarding what we talked about, regarding what was brought out, regarding what you guys heard, you guys are more than welcome to drop your questions. Other than that, if you guys know me from work, you guys can ask me personally at work, and we can talk about it. But other than that, yeah, let's get ready for my story. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for watching. Yeah, don't forget, at the end of this podcast, I'm gonna play the flute for you guys, so you guys can enjoy that. All right. All right. Yeah, the more I try to shorten my live podcasts, I don't know, man. Maybe I should work more on my timing. All right. Okay. So yeah, no. Now we got the science out of the way. We got the history out of the way. Now I wanna speak to you guys from the spirit. I want to speak from the heart with you guys. Because I've done this. I've done these ceremonies 9 times. And obviously, 9 times is not a lot. There's other people that have done it more than me. So you guys know that I began my journey like in the year 2020, when the whole world went to shit, when the whole world went into panic mode and they lost their marbles, and the world gave away their rights to the few, and they lost it. And that's when I decided to seek for answers. I wanted to seek for answers. I wanted to seek what was going on. I wanted to understand. And yeah, that's 2020 was the year for me, pivotal time. That's when I began my entheogenesis journey. This journey of sitting down with these beautiful plant medicine teachers, these plants that are they have a message to the world. So I'm gonna show you. I did a video a while back ago. For those who don't know, that's my Instagram account. So go check it out when you guys get a chance. Oh, it's right there. So right there, that was 160 weeks ago. I don't know what I would say. You guys do the math. How many years is that, right? So that's when I began. That's the place where I was camping up north, close to Canada. I was out there and camping. That's when I did my second or third mushroom ceremony right there in the wilderness, and it was amazing. So I'm right there. I think it rained that week because I stayed there for a whole week. And I was camping by myself. I brought some steaks with me, and I was cooking my steaks. And it was such a transformational experience, because I understood what was going on with the whole idea of the lockdowns and whatnot all over the world, and I understood what was going to happen. I brought this out like even prior to even that happened, and some of my videos were taken down, and I almost got into the risk of losing my channel because of that information that was brought out prior to the whole lockdowns and whatnot. And so what I did is I bought land later on. I bought land in Arizona, and I went over there in the wilderness. I stayed there for like 6 months or so, or 3 months. I don't remember, but I was out there, and just diving deep into myself, into nature, into my spirit, into my mind, meditating, and really developing a connection with the divine, at a deeper level. And so after that, I went around the country for like 4 times. I just drove around and I just stay in different places, and different camp locations and wilderness and national parks and whatnot. And so in my travels is when I did my ceremonies, because I was seeking the answers. I was seeking what was happening to the entire world, why the world was sinking into this fear-mongering idea of control by the powers that be, whoever decided that they were going to do lockdowns because of such and such and such, you guys know. And so I'm like, why is humanity so weak to the point that they're allowing these? Why are we allowing all of these? Like, I couldn't process that. To me, like, that was just like, this is common sense. Like, you do not allow that. So I went out and just started to sit down with these beautiful plants. And on my way back, I think I was in Georgia. Yeah, I think I was in Georgia. I rented a hotel because I was really tired of traveling and traveling and traveling. I had gone and visited my mom. Then after that, I went to close to Canada camp, and that's when I did my what is it? My second and third. Yeah, during my travels is when I do my second and third. And so on my way back, when I was coming back to Las Vegas, I went down the longer route. I wanted to come down to Georgia, down to Florida. I wanted to visit some friends or ex-friends. That back then I was cool with certain people that I don't want to mention names, and so I wanted to visit them and stuff. And so right after that, uh, I already had my in Georgia. That's when I stayed at a hotel, and that's when I had my fourth mushroom ceremony. So this is what happened, right? And obviously, I once again, uh, I'm not supporting anybody doing anything illegal. That's a disclaimer. Once again, this is the third disclaimer. I have to do it because uh, YouTube guidelines are very, very sensitive. So I went and I grabbed the medicine. I ate. I was fasting that day. I think I fasted 12 hours, and so I went in a 12-hour fast, and no water, nothing, just fasting. And so I ate the plant, and when I ate the plant, obviously you begin to feel the plant like all throughout your body, your mind. You begin to experience kind of like, I would call it glitches. If you guys want to call it like it's not like a glitch as you would describe it or see it in your mind. It's almost like a spiritual glitch, like you go in and out of this reality, like boop, 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 boop. You feel that you kind of sense that you sense the energy change, and you see the room and everything begins to like distort. And so that's when you go into the realm and to the ethereal realms, and the realm of the gods, the realm of the angels, the realm of the elves, the realm of the creators. I don't know, there's various names. They don't have a specific name. They're just these powerful beings. So anyways, um anyway, so this is you guys remember, this is kind of like my journal of my my first mushrooms my first mushroom ceremonies right here, recorded in this book right here. And so what happens is that you either begin to experience at a at the level of energy, the presence of other beings being there with you at an energetic level, in the conscious, in like, it's hard to explain, but I'm trying to describe my first experience right with you guys. So now you guys know what's happening at a scientific level, neurological level. There's new pathways being created, and so that's why you were able to see and witness these hallucinations, or witness this other realm. Uh, Now we have to understand that the human experience is very limited when it comes to our ability to see the strength that we have, or how high can we jump, or how far we can hear to the in comparison to the dogs, so to a bat or to a dolphin, which use echolocation systems to communicate amongst themselves, which is super advanced technology. Like, imagine if we can just telepathically speak. Like, that's another level, right? So um the where was I lost my train of thought. But the whole point is that the you guys know what happens at an energetic level. You're traversing other planes of existence, where you experience yourself, or you experience your past, or you experience like some sort of like future connection, or some sort of message, or um uh, medicine instructions. I don't know, like it varies for people. It's very different for a lot of people, right? So so I'm in the hotel, and I'm laying down. I put some music. I usually put like, like ambience music tuned into 432 or 528 hertz and other frequencies that are able to help the biology of the body. And so I'm laying down, right? I'm laying down, and all of a sudden, like I began to sense like as if I'm traveling through space, but I'm like in this quantum realm. I'm like inside a quantum realm. Like I know it's a quantum realm because I'm like little. I'm like tiny. I'm like I know that it's hard to explain, but I'm inside this place that is not this planet, right? And so I'm experiencing. I know that I'm traveling fast. Like I know I'm flying, and I could see that there's like brightness to all the way around me. There's brightness. There's like almost like diamonds, but in a black canvas. In a black canvas, you can see these diamonds that are embedded, but they're not diamonds. They're kind of like, I don't know. There's something bright. So I'm going through this tunnel or whatever it is, and so as soon as I come out into this universe, right? I come out into this galaxy. I see these galaxies. These galaxies are beautiful. And I'm standing on a rock, right? And I'm like out there in the cosmos. Like, I'm like, whoa, like, this is amazing. Like, this is like, if you guys have seen the movies like Guardians of the Galaxy, and you guys have seen the galaxies and how they portrayed it in the movies, that's nothing compared to the things that I was seeing when I was standing in that rock. And so I'm standing in the rock now. These stories is from 2020, and so I'm standing on this rock, and all of a sudden I see these, like, they look like whales, but they're not whales. They're like spaceships. They're massive spaceships that are flying like throughout space. Like, it's almost like what I'm witnessing is like a space faring, like a space faring civilization, like a massive civilization where these spaceships are traveling in various directions throughout the cosmos. Right? I'm like out there, and all of a sudden, like above my head, I see this massive, like the bottom of the spaceship. Once again, these spaceships, they look like whales, but they're organic, but they're mechanical in nature as well. I don't know if you guys understand what I'm saying. They're alive, but they're not. I don't know. It's hard to explain. So they're flying, right? So I see one above my head, and so it keeps flying and flying, and this thing is massive. Like now I'm talking about. No, I don't know, man. The size of California from the length of it, maybe the size of like Florida from top to bottom. It was massive. This thing was massive. It was black, and it had windows, like, but it was massive. Like, we're talking about the size of an entire state. That's how huge this spaceship was. So I'm looking up, and all of a sudden it stops. And when it stops, there's like a door that opens up, and I'm invited in. And so, as I'm invited in, I guess the steps coming to next to the rock that I was standing on, in like looking at the cosmos and stuff. And so I get into their spaceship, right? I get into their spaceship, and like, it's massive inside. It's like an entire cities. Like, you see cities inside. It's not like a regular spaceship where you know there's like a seat and two seats, and like you sit down like on the sides of the plane, and that's it. This thing was massive, like like the size of an entire state of California from top to bottom, the length of it. And and so I'm walking in, and these beings are purple. You know, they're like 15 foot tall. They're like 20-foot tall beings that They look humanoid. They walk with 2 feet, but they're tall, they're massive, and they're purple. They have like 4 fingers, I think. And so these beings, like I didn't even see the other beings, but these beings brought me to these beings, these purple ones, and there were 3 standing right there. Right, there was a trinity. There was 3 beings of them, standing right afar from me, like as I was walking towards them. And so when I get there, I'm looking at these beings, like 15 foot tall, like whoa, like what the. So I'm looking at these beings, and they begin to speak to me in their language I could understand, or maybe they were speaking in Spanish or their English. I don't know, but I could understand them. So they began to have this conversation. Now, there were some things that they said to me that were like, I don't know if I should share these on public. Some information that they share with me, it was very personal, and if I say it, I know people are gonna feel some type of way, and if I say it, a lot of people are gonna make a big deal about it. So I'm not gonna say it. When the information comes out, it will come out. When the knowledge comes out, it will come out, and everybody will know. But I'm walking with these beings, and they're walking me, and they're like, they're explaining to me who they are. And so what they were telling me, these 3 beings, is that they were saying that they were the engineers. They're like, we are the engineers. Because I asked them, like, who are you guys? Like, who are you? And they were like, we are the engineers. Like, I'm like, what do you mean the engineers? They're like, yeah, we engineer civilizations. And so they began to explain to me, it's like, what we do is we go around various dimensions and places, and we either terraform certain places in the cosmos and create planets organically with organic matter, right? Because we know that the planet is an organic entity. She's alive. That's why the Greeks call her Gaia, right? Mother Earth, right? She gives birth every spring. She gives birth, so she's alive. So they were explaining to me that what they do is they traverse the cosmos, seeding life in every planet that they create, right? And so I'm like amazed at this information, because I just met these engineers that they were explaining to me like how they form like ancient civilizations throughout the cosmos. And so when I was in their spaceship, we traveled throughout 12 dimensions throughout the cosmos. And so as we were traversing these cosmos, right, these 12 dimensions, in every single dimension, there was numerous civilizations way more advanced than the human race today. Way more advanced. I saw things that it's things that we could do on this planet, but you guys know why humans are not doing it. So I'm not gonna say anymore. And so we traverse the 12 dimensions. In every dimensions, we could they would take me to a place where there were massive civilizations thriving in the cosmos, in space, or not in space, because they didn't call it space. It was just, you could feel the life. It was life. It was joy. It was peaceful civilizations. It was another realm, man. It was like 12 realms that I visited and whatnot. And when we were traversing, they were telling me that before traveling, they were like, before we travel, understand that the traversing of every dimension takes 1,000 years. And so I was like, yeah, but I can't. I gotta go back to and visit my family, and I gotta go see my family and stuff. And so they explained to me the traversing of every dimension, it takes 1,000 years, like. So I decided to like to go on and accept the travel, I guess, accept what they were trying to show me, because they're like, because what they did first is they explained to me like how they see every planet that they go to, and they create civilizations throughout the cosmos in every of the 12 dimensions that are known of today. Because even physicists today and scientists today, according to science, since people want to subscribe to science, well, according to science, they know of 11 dimensions of as of now. Well, according to this fourth mushroom ceremony that I had, I was taken to the 12 dimensions, where I was able to witness many civilizations way more advanced than the humans of today, with technologies that are just beyond this world. And so I traversed the 12 dimensions for 1,000 years. And so on our way back, right, because you traverse 500 years and then 500 years back. That's I think that's how they were explaining it to me. But to me, it was just like 1,000 years, like going and coming back. And so on our way back, what they did is what they wanted to show me is that we're gonna show you how the process is done, right? And so what they did is like we went into this corner of a cosmos, like coming down from the 12 dimensions down to the lower dimensions, right? Which is this physical realm, this physical world that we call planet Earth. Before coming to this planet, we descended. I don't know. I don't even know where we descended to, but it was another dimension below the 12th dimension, right? Because there's another place beyond the 12 dimensions, they said, and this place is basically the source of it all. This is where all the dimensions are connected. What you guys call the physical realm, the second heaven and the third heaven, which the Bible talks about the second and the third heaven. And so all those are connected to the source. But so coming down to the lower dimensions, because throughout the travel of the 12 dimensions, they were teaching me like the creation story. They were teaching me, like, they show me like how everything was, how humanity was engineered, and how they planted humans and bipedal organisms throughout the cosmos that do not look like you and me. They look completely different. They're still humanoid bipedal. Now, when I talk about bipedal, I'm talking about beings that walk on their 2 feet. The word bi is it means two, right? Like binary system, it means ones and zeros, ones and zeros, ones and zeros. And so they were bipedal, but they look different than us. So we're coming down to the lower dimensions, and they're like, we're in the spaceship, obviously inside, and then so they brought me to this, I don't know, it was kind of like a massive balcony with a glass. There was a thick glass, like on the, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but you guys can kind of get the picture. And so I'm standing right there looking outside through the window outside into the cosmos, and it's empty. You can see gas, which is the stars of gas, like other stars in the background, and you can see the universe in the background. And so they're like, now that you know how we create, how we go about going, throughout the dimensional worlds, creating civilizations. Now we're gonna show you in the physical form. Like, we're gonna show you physically. We're gonna show you hands-on how we do it, bro. Like, I was like, I don't know, man. It's hard to explain. There's no words to describe the process of like how they create a planet and terraform it and stuff, and how they see human life and how they create human life and out of clay, and and they breathe like the breath of life onto their nostrils, and they become alive. That's basically what I witnessed. So we come down, like they show me, it's like, come here, like they brought me with them to the creation of their planet, or a planet, or some planet of some civilization out there, 1,000 years old, maybe, I don't know. And I'm out there, and I'm like on the ground. The ground is like, bro, like you sit down, you like, for the first time when the planet is created, like you feel your feet on the ground, like without shoes, like shoeless, right? Without shoes. And you could feel the purity, you can feel the energy of the earth, you could feel the aliveness of it, the newness of how new it is. And so they show me. And so right after that, we got back to the ship. And on the ship, we began to traverse down to the lower dimensions. And I was brought back to the same place where they picked me up from, or a different place. And right after that, I began to ground myself, and the music in the background was still playing. And so that's when I began to like ground myself, and I would say come back from that reality, or come back from that state of being, or altered state of consciousness. I came back from that, and I opened my eyes, and that's when there was other things that they spoke to me about that I don't feel comfortable sharing with people in public, but I would like to share with those that sit down with me in plant medicine. If you guys are interested to sitting down with me and exploring yourself and your mind with these psychedelics, let me know. Inbox me, give me a shout, and yeah, that's pretty much my story. So I came back, and that was it. But the purpose of these plant medicines is to like rearrange certain things and aspects of the self, and the mind and the brain. And there's I think there's certain messages for everybody at a personal level. Everybody's experience is not going to be the same as mine. And so my suggestion for people is that when you go into these plant medicines, do not go expecting to have an experience that you heard on YouTube, or somebody that you watch, or someone that you heard that, oh, they had an amazing experience, I want to have the same one that they had. Like, no, do not think that. Do not have that mentality. Your mentality is supposed to have, you're supposed to be open to the medicine. The medicine is a personal medicine that will target your psychology, your biology, your genetic network, your genetic codes within yourself. They are able to attach themselves and understand how everything about yourself works, right? The word psychedelic means mind, to look into the mind, right? So it will show you stuff. So one of the things that I suggest people that are interested in sitting down with these beautiful plants is to begin to understand your inner self, your inner darkness, your inner traumas. Begin to understand that and address all those things now, before you guys sit down with these beautiful plants. Because if you sit down with these plant medicines while your mind is going through these various biological and emotional, psychological changes, it will heighten the experience when you go into these uh, uh, psychedelic plants, right? And so be careful with that. So this is why I recommend everybody that wants to do like a ceremonial mushroom experience, to begin the cleansing of your energetic self first, so the mind, the way you speak to yourself, the traumas that we went through as children, and the traumas that we went through because your spouse died, or your spouse left you, you got divorced, you weren't expecting that, a family died, a loved one died, your dad, your mom, your dad, or things like that. These are things that impact the self, the human experience at a psychological and emotional level, very much, to the point that it affects the biological, the body and the mind later on in life. And so this is why we have disruptive energetic pools of energy within ourselves, and this is why we become sick, and our immune system become weaker, and it's all of it. So these plant medicines are here to help us out, guide us into a better future in the world, especially with everything that's going on in the world today. You guys, if you guys follow the news, half of it is lies, half of it is just indoctrination systems of fear and control for people to be subdued by these lower vibrations. And so what these plant medicines leads us to do is to help us elevate our frequency, of the brain, our bodies, our magnetic, electromagnetic um, network, so that we're able to connect with the divine, and with the divine within ourselves. That's the whole point, right? Because we're always seeking the divine outside of ourselves. Like, oh, God is somewhere outside in the heavens, with a white beard, with the long hair, white long hair, and a staff, sitting down on a golden throne, right? When, as a matter of fact, the golden throne is basically your pineal gland inside of yourself. That's the antenna of the cosmos that are able to connect us back to source, to various I would say various realms of knowledge. You guys call Akashic records. So mushrooms helps us, innates us into doing that as well. So mushrooms are not only medicinal, but they're also medicinal to the soul and the mind and the spirit. So that was it. My other mushroom ceremonies, they're very personal, that I would like to share with those experiences with you guys when you guys sit down with me in a sacred circle to do um, mushroom ceremony, right? And so with that, we're gonna call it a night. If you guys have any questions, like I said, I was gonna play the flute, and I'm still gonna play the flute in a minute. But if you guys have any questions, drop your questions. Um, if not, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Those who stay until the end, you guys are the real MVP. Thank you for tuning in once again. This is Oscar with the Ancient Watchman. This was a trip. Shout out, everybody. Shout out. Natural Mystics. Good to see you, brother. Welcome to the live. Yeah, that's true. All right, everybody. If nobody has any questions, we're gonna close this podcast with this flute. Enjoy. But before you listen to my flute playing, let's do some breath work. Let's take a deep breath in and exhale out. Exhale 3 times. Okay. All right. Here we go. So we're gonna do a deep inhale, right? So 3, 2, 1. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale again for 6 seconds. One last one. Inhale. Exhale 6 seconds. Hold it for 6 seconds. and then come back to your regular breathing technique. So once again, thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, stay tuned for the next one. I think I'm probably gonna bring a brother so that we can expand on the Sumerian tablets and how the Bible is basically like some parts of the Bible are plagiarized stories from much ancient stories that predate the Bible for 200,000 years. So I want to bring that information out, very solid for people. So the brother, if the brother, when the brother comes in, if not, I'm gonna do it myself. But thanks for watching, everybody. Once again, this is Oscar, the Ancient Watchman, aka the Water Wizard. We'll see you on the next one. All right. All right, everybody. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching. Check us out.